I want you to picture a scenario, and I guarantee it's a scenario that every single person listening has been through.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting in a waiting room. Maybe it's the DMV. Maybe it's a crowded urgent care clinic.
Well, I know this room.
You know this room. The walls are that specific shade of institutional beige. The air conditioning is humming just a little too loudly. And you are clutching a small, flimsy slip of paper.
The ticket. The universal symbol for just wait your turn.
Exactly. You're just staring at this digital board, waiting for a red LED number to flash. And for, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 minutes, you kind of cease to be a person.
Yeah, you're not you.
You're not a parent. You're not a writer. You're not someone who loves jazz or hates cilantro. You are just number 42.
Right.
And when that voice finally calls out number 42, there's this split second, this tiny flash of resistance where you almost want to stand up and shout, I am not 42. I have a name.
It's such a visceral reaction, isn't it? It's that friction between our biological reality, that we're these complex, unique individuals, and the systemic reality,
Yes.
which is that to a bureaucracy, you're just a unit, a thing to be processed. It's efficiency versus identity.
And efficiency almost always wins.
Almost always.
Right. Usually we just sigh, stand up, and walk to the counter. But that specific tension, that urge to scream, I am not a number, that's really the heartbeat of the story we are covering today.
It is.
We're doing a deep dive into a short story. It's titled, Am I a Name or a Number? By Uday Mukherjee.
And it was published in the Down in the Dirt anthology from Scars Publications, a really interesting piece.
It really is. And what I love about it is that Mukherjee takes this, this very common annoyance, and he doesn't just complain about it.
Yeah.
He follows one character, a guy named David, through an entire lifelong existential crisis over it.
He really does. We see him go from this rebellious, feverish kid who refuses to answer to a number all the way to a grown man who finds, well, let's just say, a very strange kind of comfort in being a data point.
It's a total reversal.
It's a whole trajectory from resistance to what I'd almost call a symbiotic acceptance.
That's a good way to put it. It raises this massive question. What's actually more real? The flesh and blood you eats and sleeps and eventually, dies.
Or the social security number that proves you exist to the government and, in theory, lives forever in a database.
That's the question. So let's unpack this. The story kicks off with a scene that is, honestly, kind of traumatic in a low-stakes way, the hospital incident.
Right. So we meet David when he's very young. The text says he's running a high temperature, he's feeling dazed, he's vulnerable, and he's sitting with his mother, Miranda, in an orthopedic department.
And the nurse calls out, no, 11, please. And David, he just sits there. He totally freezes.
He doesn't just freeze, it's more than that. He actively rebels. His mom is whispering, let's go, that's us, trying to pull him up.
And he actually pushes back. He says, no, Mom, that can't be. I'm not a number. I'm David.
And then he asks her, didn't you just fill in the form with my name on it?
Which is such a logical question for a kid. He saw her write David.
Yeah.
So why is the world calling him 11? It points out the absurdity of the whole thing right away.
It really does. It highlights that the system has the ability to know you. Your name is right there on the form, but it chooses the efficiency of the number. It's just faster.
But the mother's reaction here is so critical. She does not have time for a philosophical debate.
Oh, not at all. Any parent knows this moment. You just need the doctor to see your kid.
So she cuts right through it. She shows him the token and says, today you are 11. Now let's go.
Today you are 11. I mean, what a brutal sentence if you really stop and think about it.
It is. It's so pragmatic, but it's so heavy.
It's the voice of the world, basically. She's telling him that in this context, in the medical queue, his identity as David is just irrelevant noise. The only thing that gets the transaction done is his number. If he insists on being David, he won't get treated.
So he has to surrender his identity just to survive, in a way. But the story gives him this little lifeline right after this. The nurse.
Yes, the glitch in the machine. The nurse has been watching this whole struggle, the mom pulling, the kid protesting. And as they walk past her counter, she looks him right in the eye and she says, hello, David.
And that small act, just restoring his name, it sticks with him. The text actually jumps forward here. Fast forward 20 years.
Right. David's an adult now, and he's rushing back to that same orthopedic department because his mom has fractured some bones.
And even after 2 decades, he remembers that nurse's face.
It anchors the whole idea that personal connection is the only thing that can really pierce through the bureaucracy. The system wants him to be number 11, but the nurse forced the system to acknowledge David.
But that incident, it really sparked something in him. It wasn't just a bad day at the hospital. It became his whole worldview. The story says growing up, David faced an uneasy battle.
He's constantly wrestling with this duality, and he tries to ground his identity in biology. The text is pretty explicit.
How so?
He argues to himself that he ate when he felt hungry, he slept when he felt sleepy, so he existed.
It's very I metabolize, therefore I am.
Exactly. He's making this biological case for his existence. I'm flesh and blood and energy. A number is abstract. I'm concrete. I feel pain. A number doesn't.
But the problem is, as soon as he leaves his house, that biological argument just hits a brick wall.
And that brick wall has a name. It's his school friend, Laura.
Laura is the ultimate pragmatist. She's the reality check in this story. David's on this rant to her about not wanting to be a machine churn number, and she just completely stumps him.
She asks the killer question, then why do you need a social security number? Don't you have one?
It's such a direct hit. You can't function in modern society without the tag. If names are so superior, why does the government need to tag us all like inventory?
But David, he doesn't fold. He actually comes back with a really, really clever counter-argument.
I love this part.
It's so good. He asks her, what is Einstein's social security number?
It's brilliant. He says, do you know him by his name or a number? And obviously we know him as Einstein. We don't know him as, whatever 9 digits he was assigned.
This is David fighting for what historians might call the great man theory, right? The idea that a truly great identity, a legacy, it transcends bureaucracy.
We remember the name Einstein because of his contribution, his genius. The number has faded away, but the name is still there.
But the text notes that David felt like he won the argument, but he also felt far from relieved. And that's the key.
What do you think it is? Why wasn't he relieved?
Because deep down, I think he knows Laura is right about how the world actually functions. Einstein might be a name to us historically, but to the U.S. government when he was alive, to the IRS, the Census Bureau.
He was definitely a file number.
Absolutely. The state didn't care about the theory of relativity. They cared about the tax ID. And David realizes that unless you are literally Einstein, your name is probably going to fade a lot faster than your number.
Wow, that's a haunting realization.
It is.
So he tries to bargain with it. He tries to find the places where numbers are. Okay. Where they're even good. He looks at sports.
Sports is the perfect middle ground for him. He admits that utility matters. He talks about Ronaldo wearing number 7, Maradona wearing number 10.
Right, for visibility. You need to be able to tell who is who on the field from way up in the cheap seats.
Exactly. The referee can't shout, "Hey, David," when there are 3 Davids on the pitch. It just makes sense.
So he accepts the utility of it, but he draws this sort of moral line in the sand. He says it would be wrong if the commentators at Wimbledon started calling players by their numbers.
Can you even imagine that? Number 4 serving to number 12.
It would just strip all the glory away. It turns it into a robot match.
Exactly. But then the story takes this really interesting detour into the psychology of the athletes themselves. David starts obsessing over the number 10.
Yeah, this was a detail I did not expect. He lists them off. Pele, Maradona, Messi, Ronaldinho. They all wanted to be identified with number 10. And David starts wondering if there's something, mystical about it.
He brings up Pythagoras.
Wait, hold on. Pythagoras? Like the a squared plus b squared triangle guy.
The very same one. But Pythagoras was also a mystic. In Pythagorean philosophy, the number 10 was called the decad. It was considered the perfect number.
Really?
Because it symbolized the cosmos. It's the sum of the first 4 numbers. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, it equals 10.
Whoa. Okay, I did not know that.
And so the text asks, was this obsession with number 10 because of this Pythagorean symbol of perfection? It's the only time David sees a number as something that might elevate a human rather than reducing them.
That's a fascinating layer. It suggests a number isn't always a cage. Sometimes it's a symbol of power.
Exactly. But it's a fleeting thought for him. Because eventually David has to grow up. He leaves the playground philosophy behind and hits the macro view of adulthood.
The systemic reality. This is where the story gets a little overwhelming, I think. David realizes that when he was enrolled in elementary school, he wasn't just a kid named David walking into a classroom.
No, not at all. To the system, his enrollment was a data trigger. The text lays this out so clearly. One social security number entering the school system changes the teacher-student ratio.
And it shifts funding. It alters budgets.
It affects all the demographic data.
It's like the butterfly effect, but with paperwork. One kid walks in, and the whole school district's spreadsheet updates.
And that's the point David realizes. One name changes the dynamics of the whole system. He isn't a person, he's a variable in an equation. And this follows him right into consumerism.
Oh, the shopping part. The story describes online shopping in a way that just makes you feel incredibly small.
It really does. It says the name seemed irrelevant. When you buy a pair of shoes, you aren't David choosing a style. You are a stock deduction.
You take one unit out of the inventory.
And the system automatically generates an order to replenish it.
You're just the hand that keeps the conveyor belt moving.
Precisely. You are a trigger for inventory management. And this all leads David into a pretty deep depression as an adult. He starts questioning everything: career, family, fame.
He feels like it's all just a facade. He wonders what the purpose of striving is if, at the end of the day, the only thing that really counts is that you were a number that balanced some equation somewhere.
It's a void, a total sense of meaninglessness. He feels that on the bigger scale, being a number is the only thing that actually matters.
And then we get to the really modern anxiety, the AI factor.
This is where the story feels so current. David looks at the supermarket, and he sees that the cashier, a human job, has been taken over by automation.
And he has that very real, very relatable fear. David's work would also be gobbled up by AI.
He sees a future where the physical David, the flesh and blood, is just obsolete, and eventually dead. Mortality is staring him right in the face.
But then something happens, a shift.
The turning point of the whole story.
He hears a voice. The text says, a voice from inside his head. So, is he cracking up? Is this spiritual? What's going on?
The story leaves it really ambiguous. I mean, whether this is a hallucination or a spiritual intervention or just his own subconscious finally snapping into a new perspective, it doesn't really matter. The voice offers him a reframe.
And it's a powerful reframe. The voice whispers that even if the man named David ceases to exist, something else stays behind.
His footprints, but not footprints in the sand, footprints in the data bank.
The voice even lists them out, right? His record as a school student, a college graduate, an office employee.
His bank transactions, his shopping history, and maybe most importantly, the IRS.
Of course, the IRS. It always comes back to taxes.
But in this context, the IRS is like the keeper of the book of life. The voice tells him that these records are securely stored. It says they will testify as his witness.
That's such a strange phrase. Testify as his witness. It implies the data isn't just a byproduct. It's the proof of life.
Well, think about it. If you strip away all the emotion, what is the most accurate, secure, and permanent record of your existence? It's not your memory. Memory is faulty.
It's the data.
It's the data. It proves you contributed to the economy. It proves you participated in the nation. It proves you are here.
So the argument is, you matter because the database says you were here.
And this leads to the big twist, the conclusion that pulls David right out of his depression.
He feels assured. He's actually relieved by all this.
He's relieved because he realizes the relationship is symbiotic. And this is the part that I think is really clever. The voice explains that if the worst fear comes true, if AI takes over the world, AI still needs us.
Right. Because AI runs on data, our data.
Exactly. AI's very existence depends on that data. It feeds on our numbers. Without our transactions, without our social security inputs, without our shopping habits, the machine has no fuel.
So in a really weird way, we're the food source.
Mm-hmm.
And because the machine needs its food.
The food is preserved. We live on. The text concludes with this realization. We live on in a slightly different form, as a number, not a name.
And for David, that solves the whole mortality problem. He doesn't have to worry about being forgotten because the database never forgets.
It's data as immortality. It's a complete 180-degree turn from where he started as a kid. The boy who screamed, "I am not a number," becomes the man who finds peace in realizing, thank God I am a number, because numbers last forever.
It's kind of comforting and kind of terrifying at the same time.
It is. It suggests our value isn't in our soul or our personality, but in our transactional history. But for David, that's enough. It anchors him.
It really challenges how we usually think about privacy, doesn't it? We spend so much energy trying to protect our data, hide our numbers, stay off the grid.
We do. We see data collection as a kind of theft. Mukherjee is suggesting, through David, that maybe data collection is actually preservation. It's the modern equivalent of building a pyramid or carving your name in stone.
You're not losing yourself to the algorithm. You're uploading yourself to it.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for us? We've tracked David from this feverish kid in a waiting room to a man finding solace in the IRS mainframe. It's a journey from resisting the system to, well, becoming one with it.
It's a journey right into the heart of modern identity. It forces us to ask what actually constitutes a self.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over something that really struck me reading this. If our digital footprints are the only things that truly testify to our contribution to the economy, to the nation, does that mean our numbers are actually more us than our names? Is the spreadsheet the real you? And is the person looking in the mirror just the temporary vessel for the data?
That is the ultimate question. Which one is the shadow and which one is the reality?
Think about that the next time you're waiting in line and they call your number. Maybe give a little smile at the screen. It's keeping you alive. Thanks for diving in with us.
Check your data footprints, everyone.
See you next time.